Hello, race fans, and welcome back to the Ohio Dirt Track Podcast. My name is Clint, and Jacob and I decided to stay away from each other for a couple of weeks after our experience at the Sprint Car World Championship because we decided if we showed up at the same track, it was destined to rain. So this week, I headed to Eldora to the 25th running of the Dirt Late Model Dream, and Jacob headed to Attica and Freemont to watch the sprint cars. 3 nights of late models at Eldora Speedway this year. Always great racing, huge event, tons of race fans. Over 90 late models this year. Thursday night, twin features, 10,000 to win. Daryl Lanigan winning the first, Ricky Weiss winning the second. 10,000 to win again with Jonathan Davenport and Shane Clanton take those 2 victories and checks to the bank. Black Sunshine Scott Bloomquist returned to the race car for the Dirt Late Model Dream this year. And as always, it was interesting. Each night it looked like his car was getting better, and he ended up winning his heat race on Saturday night, but came up 2 pounds light at the scales, and that's unfortunate. Could have been a couple of rocks or a couple of handfuls of dirt in a pocket, and he would have made the weight. But instead, that gives the win to Dennis Erb in Heat Race 5, which also had an interesting event with a pop-up shower, sending the top 4 or 5 cars into the wall, and track officials decided to put a break in the action, give them time to repair, and come back after Heat Race 6 and finish Heat Race 5. But in the end, $125,000 goes to Mr. Brandon Shepard, who just beat out Dale McDowell at the line for the big victory and the big payday. On Thursday, before the racing began, I had the chance to speak with Devin Moran for a few minutes. Here's a brief conversation about his year leading up to this year's Dirt Late Model Dream. All right, this is Clint here on Thursday afternoon. I've got Devin Moran on the phone, live from the pits at Eldora. Is that where you are?
Oh, yeah, we're here ready to rock and roll, hanging out, seeing everything going on, getting this race car ready to go.
Have you walked around outside the track yet? Does it look like there's a few people there today?
I really haven't a whole lot. I've got my t-shirt trailer up in the vending ground up in turns 1 and 2 with many others, but I really haven't got to go venture around a whole lot. We tested on Tuesday, and we've been trying to get some stuff ready, so I've been down here trying to get the tune on this thing.
So you're from Dresden, Ohio.
Yep, you got it.
And does that give you an advantage? Do you have any other time in Eldora that you can get out there before some of these other guys that may be coming from the south?
Not really. I mean, I'd love to come up here and do some testing and stuff, but timing isn't very good for us. And then really, I don't even know if they let people test, so it's hard to get many more laps up here than what other people get. But still being close to home, I love it, and it's fun coming up here.
How many trips do you get to make to Eldora during the year?
Usually I'm here for the Dream in the World and possibly one other time, but usually only 2 and maybe 3 different times. That's about it.
So I grew up in Georgia. I live here in Mansfield, near Mansfield, Ohio now. I grew up with late models. Now I've moved here into the middle of sprint car country. So what I wanted to ask you was, in your traveling, you spend a lot of time in the South. How do the tracks differ in Ohio for late models than it is in the South?
Well, I mean, it's just the dirt's so much different everywhere we go. You know, I go all over the place and I see so many different configurations. And really, that isn't the tricky part. The tricky part is how different the dirt is. You go from up here in Ohio where it's a little gritty and dirty and dust flying across the track compared to out in Illinois to where it's black slick with that cushion, or down to the Tennessees and Carolinas and stuff where it's got that red clay, and just it's so different everywhere you go, you know. So that's the biggest thing that people really don't realize is how different the dirt is, and that's what's hard to adjust to, is the different styles of dirt. So hopefully we got her adjusted right for this weekend.
Good deal. So you are on the Lucas Oil Late Model Tour full-time this year?
Yep, I'm running it with Dumb Benson Motorsports, the Bigger Steel Gets Go, Dumb Benson Ford team. We've had a decent year. We finally got our first win a couple weeks ago out in Missouri, but we're currently 4th in the Lucas Oil standings with that team, and everything's been going really good.
It looks like you're also a contender for Rookie of the Year this year, 2019.
Yeah, me and my buddy Tyler, we're battling back and forth. Tyler, but I think he's got me beat by a couple points right now, but we've slowly been getting better and better, so hopefully we can can keep it that way.
Good deal. Well, hopefully you'll be able to get those, make up some ground on him, and see if you can make a strong contention for that. So you've got 2 victories this year already?
The one was actually in a modified. The first one that was at down in Atomic, down in Chillicothe, Ohio. That was a first modified win, so that was kind of cool. And then out in West Plains, Missouri, which is where the show meet used to be till 2010. One place my dad never won was out there, so that was pretty cool. We got our first win with Doug Benson out there at a place I've never been to before. That was a lot of fun.
That kind of leads me to the next question I was going to ask. What sort of resource is your dad for you? Are you guys do you guys talk a lot about setup, track knowledge? What kind of things are you able to get from him?
I mean, he's always got different ideas and stuff, and I'm always talking to him. But a lot of it's, I don't know. I mean, he's taught me more than anyone ever has, especially on the driving side, things of that sort. But things are always changing, you know. So you can talk about setup and different things like that, but it's always changing and always different and everything else. So it's cool to be able to talk to him about some of that stuff. And some of the stuff's very relevant, and some of it's not relevant at all, you know.
So I mean, he's driven probably just about every track in the country at this point that has a big late model show. So I'm sure you're able to tap some of that knowledge.
Yeah, and that's cool. He has been to so many different tracks. So I definitely get some knowledge out of him for sure. I can promise you that. Let's
talk about chassis really quick. What chassis are you running this year?
We're running Rockets, XR1 Rockets.
Is this repetitive years for you in the Rocket, or is this a new?
Yep, this is my 3rd year in the Rocket. I've driven for my dad and I toured the last 2 years. That's when we first got the Rockets, and we've been in them ever since. So
is there a drastic difference in a Rocket or other chassis that are fitted for shorter tracks or longer tracks? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, all the chassis got their own quirks and kind of things different, but these Rockets, you know, they've been really, really good. Longhorns are good, Scott's cars are good, you know, they're all good in their own kind of settings, so as long as we can get it dialed in right and kind of do our own little thing, then it seems to be pretty good for us.
Well, we're excited to see what you're able to do this weekend. Do you have anything else in Ohio on tap for the rest of the summer that we can expect to see in the area?
Oh, yeah, we will be at, Muscatine County Speedway for the Lucas Oil races. That whole weekend, the July 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th weekend. We'll be at Mansfield for the Dirt Million. Portsmouth, we still got to go to Portsmouth 3 times, so we've got quite a bit of racing in Ohio to do, so I'm excited. And
then you got probably a few more swings in that deep south summer heat as well.
Oh, yeah, we still definitely can go down into the heat states, so that's pretty cool, too.
I really appreciate you talking to me today. Best of luck this weekend. I will be out there tomorrow. I'll come find you and say hello.
Sounds good, man. I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for your time, Devin. We'll see you soon.
Yep, sounds good.
Thank you, Devin, for taking a few minutes to talk to me as you were getting ready there in the pits. We really appreciate it. I'm going to turn it over to Jacob now so he can give you the update from Attica on Friday night.
Howdy folks, Jacob here with a quick recap from Attica Raceway Park on the 7th. It was the AFCS, first night of the AFCS doubleheader weekend. We had 32 410s that made the call for a 4,000 to win show. Quick time was the 11N of Buddy Kofoid at a 13.027. Heat Race 1 was won by Cap Henry. Heat Race 2 was won by Buddy Kofoid as he threw a big slider on the last corner and won by a nose. Heat 3 was won by defending track champion Stuart Brubaker, and Heat 4 was won by DJ Foose. There were 2 B mains, top 2 transferred. In your first B main, it was Chris Andrews and Jack Hodenshield that transferred. In your second B main, it was Brian Smith and Mitch Harble that transferred. And that set the stage for a 30-lap, $4,000 to win show. Your top 10 starters were Craig Mintz, Stuart Brubaker, Cap Henry, Trey Jacobs, Brian Lay, Ricky Peterson, Nate Dussel, DJ Foose, Byron Reed, and Buddy Kofoid. Unfortunately for Mintz, his race was over as soon as it started, as something in his steering broke and he went off the banking in 1 and 2, ending his race even though he started on pole. What ensued on the restart was a testament to how great our local drivers are. Cap Henry took the lead, but Brubaker threw a slider and Trey Jacobs made his presence felt as well. They were 3 wide for a couple laps, all swapping the top 3 positions multiple times. How they didn't crash, I'm not sure, but what I am sure about is that Jacobs went to the lead before another caution came out on lap 3. Jacobs held the lead on the restart and went straight to the low side, which was fast for him. Jacobs would build a pretty sizable lead while Buddy Kofoid was charging. He was up to third on lap 11 and up to second on lap 13 from his 10th starting spot. Then the chase was on for the lead. The 3J was in traffic on lap 16, which allowed Buddy to catch right up to him. The 3J was still running low while Buddy was ripping the top. They were side by side for a little bit, but Buddy did take the lead away and started pulling away while DJ Foose was making his way forward and looking really fast by lap 21. On lap 21, though, disaster struck for the 11N crew as Max Stambaugh went off the high side of 3 and 4 and decided it would be a good idea to come back up over the banking. Buddy had nowhere to go and hit Stambaugh, bringing his night to a frustrating end. Trey Jacobs regained the lead but didn't get to hang on to it for long as DJ got by him on the outside on the ensuing restart. Foose ran away for a second Attica Raceway Park victory of his career, taking home double points and $4,000. Trey Jacobs, Cap Henry, Nate Dussel, Byron Reed, Stuart Brubaker, Jess Steiger, Chris Andrews, Travis Philo, and Brian Smith rounded out your top 10. It was a pretty fun race with cars racing all over the track. The bottom and top seemed to be pretty equal if you could run them right. The track was definitely slick to the cushion. So for the 305s, our quickest in hot laps was Jamie Miller at a 14.174. Heat Race 1 was won by Kyle Peters. Heat Race 2 was won by Paul Weaver. Heat Race 3 was won by Tyler Street. And Heat Race 4 went to Bobby Clark. They took 6 out of the B main. There was only one B main for the 305s, and they took 6. Your top 6 transfers were Kyle Capodice, Jamie Miller, Sabo, Valeni, Raw, Real, and Real. Your top 6 transfers were Capodice, Miller, Sabo, Valeni, Raw, and Real. So that set the stage for 25 laps for the 305s. Stuart Williams, Kyle Peters, Paul Weaver, Mike Keegan, Bobby Clark, Brandon Moore, Seth Schneider, Jason Keckler, Tyler Street, and Luke Griffith were your top 10 starters. So as I said, 25 laps will decide on how this one would shake out. There were not a lot of passing, and there were actually 0 cautions in this one as it went green to checkers. All the cars were kind of hugging the bottom, and not many cars could make anything else work. There was one car that could make it work, though. Passing cars was Brandon Moore. He went from 6th to 2nd by lap 10, but while all this was going on, Stuart Williams was just out to a gigantic lead. It was his race. No one was going to stop him. He was smooth through traffic, and just no one could catch him. So Williams went on to pick up his very first Attica Raceway Park victory in his first night out of the year. It was definitely an emotional victory lane as he finally gets to go to the horse track for that victory interview. Brandon Moore was 2nd, Kyle Peters 3rd, Jason Keckler, Tyler Street, Paul Weaver, Bobby Clark, Kyle Capodice, Jamie Miller, and Mike Keegan were your top 10 finishers. It was a great night of action other than a stiff breeze blowing into the stands all night long. The weather was gorgeous. It did cool off just a little bit with that breeze, but what can you do about that? The show was ran very efficiently, getting 10 heat races and 3 B mains done by about 9:30. The 410 feature was pushing off at 9:34. So racing started at 7:45, so they got all that done. All the heat races and B mains done in under 2 hours. So the next leg of the AFCS doubleheader takes us to Fremont on the 8th, Saturday, which is today as I'm recording. It is Fremont's Hall of Fame night and another 4,000 to win shows for the 410s. Hope to see you there, folks.
As I've mentioned previously in this podcast, Jacob Horde, race watcher, goes to more races than anyone I know, and he went straight from Attica on Friday night over to Fremont Saturday night, and here's what he saw.
Alright folks, we got a quick Fremont recap from Saturday, June 8th for the second part of the AFCS Sprints doubleheader weekend. So we were at Fremont Speedway. It was a nice partly sunny day, gorgeous weather, slight breeze. 29 410s made the call. Buddy Kofoid went quick time and hot laps with a 13.456. In qualifying, they had one lap to get it done again, as is normal with Fremont. So it was Justin Peck in the 5X. He's always fast at Fremont. He set a 13.176 to go quick time. There were 3 heats. Heat number 1 was won by Brian Smith. Heat number 2 was won by Stuart Brubaker. Heat 3 was won by Travis Philo. And they took 5 out of the B main. So your 5 B main transfers were Cody Swanson, Chris Andrews, Caleb Griffith, Ryan Broughton, and Lee Jacobs. So that set up your field for the feature. Your top 10 starters were Ryan Smith, DJ Foose, Byron Reed, Justin Peck, Stuart Brubaker, Travis Philo, Nate Dussel, Tim Schaefer,